good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening to or watching from in the world. Of course, welcome to our special GBKM Canada Day live broadcast. And of course, it's Canada Day 153 years of being the true North. Are we strong?
We are strong.
Are we free?
Yes, we are.
But of course, I'm your host, Romain Redmond, host of the Alternative Show right here on Gbkm FM. And I'm being joined by our lovely co-host here on the station. To my right.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm host of the Chat Up Show.
And of course, to my left, we have...
Hi, I'm Gbkm Napoleon Ogboli. I'm the host of the Spotlight Show.
Yes.
Absolutely. And this special broadcast is all about Canada. And as you see from the topic, is Canada really the greatest country in the world? That's definitely something for us to ponder on today. But of course, Elizabeth and Jay here will help me to break that down right here on Gbkm FM. And don't forget, guys, this is where you tune in, like, and share, as the discussion is definitely gonna get heated on this special broadcast. Of course, the platforms are on Facebook at Great Benin Kingdom Media. You can also check us out on YouTube, Gbkm Tv. Also get us on our website, www.gbkm.fm. You can also check us out on TuneIn app. It's Gbkm. And don't forget to get us where?
To Instagram, it's Gbkm FM.
And you can also get an app from our website and take us with you wherever you go in the world. So let us jump into it. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, I'm doing awesome.
Great.
Absolutely, but it's Canada Day.
Yep.
Red and white, as you can all see here.
Yes.
Red, white, and and black. To be complimented by black, of course. But it's all about fun and excitement today. But we also have some real discussions to get into. Because at 53 years, is Canada really the true North, strong and free? Or does Canada still need to do a little bit more work? Or a lot more work? I will definitely jump into that here on our special broadcast.
Special
But
Canada
of course,
Day broadcast.
Elizabeth, your thoughts on Canada Day here, 53 years, 153
153 years. I mean, wow. Yeah, it's a long time. That is a very long time. But I will say that I think that in the last few years, just the changes that we're seeing have been steps in the right directions. I will say that this Canada Day is special, not just because we're in the middle of the pandemic.
Many ways.
But also I think that just the overall conversations that are currently happening across the world, I think we're in a reflective place, and to even just reflect on the history of the land that we're physically occupying right now, just it's important that we really take the time to pay respects to where we are. Like, this is the soil, this is the land, this is territory.
Absolutely. And Jay, 153 years though, I want you to just give us your perspective on 153 years for Canada.
Yes, amazing. 153 years. That seems like a long time, but it's and a lot of things have happened within that period of time. In this 21st century, I see Canada has really been able to step up, and the name Canada resonates with a lot of people now. It's more common. A lot of people are aware of this country, unlike before. And that's very impressive for me, because now when I travel abroad and I tell people I'm Canadian, they can actually relate to that because they know where I'm from. Okay, so Canada is really doing well. Canada has been a very peaceful place. Canada has been a place whereby there's several opportunities, and it's something that I'm very happy with. And every Canada Day, I love to celebrate. You know, I love to go out to see the attractions. I love to spend time with family and friends, and it's amazing.
And absolutely, that's what celebration is all about. But on behalf of the entire Gbkm team here, and I just got permission from our CEO and president, we want to say a happy Canada Day to you and all the Canadians out there, all your family, whether you're here in Canada or you're abroad. Happy Canada Day to you. This is a country which possesses so many opportunities for us to really thrive and for us to be peaceful, safe, and really live somewhere where we can actually realize our dreams. So thank you, Canada, for that. And with that, we just have a special display here for us as we talk about Canada being a diverse country, as we talk about that. So we're going to be listening to Tola Z and Rolak Z, his daughter, as they perform their very special Afrobeat twist, a remix to our Canadian national anthem. Definitely check this out. Absolutely. That was the remix by Tola Z and his daughter Rolex Z. Amazing, isn't it?
It is.
And when we talk about Canada really being that place where persons can come together with their different backgrounds, different let's just put it like this: we're an immigrant nation. We pride ourselves on being an immigrant nation of multicultural existence, and that's definitely on display in that video. So thank you so much to Tolazi and his lovely daughter. I mean, I want to get some of those dance moves.
I know. I was feeling the sax. Honestly, like he killed it on the saxophone.
Did you see his daughter? How
his daughter's adorable.
Yes.
Oh
That was
It is so adorable.
good
You guys should
talent.
check it out on Tolazi's YouTube page as well. If you want to see more of that and more of what he puts out there for yourself as well. It's really beautiful just to see like how we can all express our love for Canada in different ways.
Yes.
And it's a diverse, unique way. You know, the Afrobeat remix adds a
Yes.
little kick to it.
Yes, you
Feel
know,
a
for
little,
all
you know,
other African
you
brothers
know,
and
you know,
sisters here.
Afrobeats is taking over the globe anyway. So
Exactly. And definitely. But guys, before we jump into further discussions, though, you know, Gbkm always want to give you that excitement, and we always like to give you something, especially being Canada Day here. We have some special prizes here for 2 persons. So 2 persons, we are going to ask 3 questions. And the first person to get on each of the platforms that we're opening up for answers, you will receive a special gift from us. Okay, so let's dive into them. So the 2 platforms that we'll be accepting our answers on, they're of course on our Instagram, is Gbkm FM. That's again on our Instagram at Gbkm FM. And you can also, on the live stream right now, if you're the first person to answer the question, we'll definitely just pin you there and get your prize to you. Wonderful. So the questions are 3 questions, and you have to guess all 3 answers correct.
3.
Yes.
Okay, so each of us are going to take one of the questions. Number 1, Elizabeth.
how old is Canada? That's
Okay,
the first question.
and repeat.
How old is Canada?
So that's question number 1. Question number 2, name the first Prime Minister of Canada. That's a Confederated Canada. Who was the first Prime Minister? Okay,
Yes.
Number 3.
And number 3, when Canada became a dominion, how many provinces were there?
How many provinces joined when Canada became a confederation? So those are the 3 questions. And the first person to answer all 3 questions correctly, you will receive a special gift from our Gbkm team. Of course, we gift well, so don't worry about it. You'll definitely receive something wonderful. But Jay and Elizabeth,
Yes.
the discussion, let's jump into it.
Okay.
now. Is Canada the great country it poses itself to be?
That's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question, but let's just take it in steps, though. As an immigrant,
Yep.
we're all immigrants. I've immigrated here. Jay immigrated here. Elizabeth is also an immigrant. So your experience in Canada as an immigrant, I mean, based on the things that you heard before you came, what you experienced, and what you're looking forward to, give us a summation of that.
Before I moved to Canada, honestly, I wasn't even thinking about Canada like that. It was a whim. I had to apply to university, and I was like, well, Toronto looks cute. And that's how I kind of ended up here, short story of it. And I think my impression was, they're all so nice.
Oh.
Like, everyone is so nice. Like, I'd only come to visit one time before, and I was like, everyone is so nice. And this is me coming from, like, Europe, where in most European, especially Western European countries, not everyone is as smiley. And
tempo is different.
you know,
The temperature
like,
is
you
a
walk
lot
into a
different.
store, you don't really get that nice welcome.
Yeah.
How are you doing today? You kind of get the stares, the side eye, maybe a security guard following you around, but that's another story.
Yeah.
It was definitely like a shock, cultural shock, when I find everyone smiling at me on the streets, people saying hi to me, and I'm like, do I know you? Like, do I know you from somewhere? But I will say that that was like my first impression of Canada.
So first real impression. And Jay, of course, your experience though,
Yes.
experience, was it similar to Elizabeth, or was it different?
It was quite similar because I've lived in 3 countries. My country of birth, Nigeria. I schooled in England, and I came to Canada. So my experience was quite similar as well, because when I came to Canada, one thing I noticed initially was people actually moved at a very certain pace. In England, when you're in Oxford Circles, you walk very fast. Everybody's in a rush.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But in Canada, you know, people were a bit calm. You know,
Yeah.
they took their time. I noticed one of the first reactions I got, because in England, we are very friendly. You see people like, "You're right. How you doing?" And I say, "People, I'm so excited because I'm new to the country." I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" They do respond, but they're a bit shocked. Like, "I don't know you, but why are you so friendly with me?" So after a while, I sort of settled in, and I realized that there's difference in in the environments here, the people, and Canada. One thing that I like about Canada is the amount of people from various countries I've never heard before.
Yes.
And when I see them, it's so interesting because I learn new experiences. I get new information from them. One of the first person I met in Canada was a lady from Guyana. I've never heard of Guyana before. She said she was Guyanese. I said, "Did you say Chinese?" She said, "No, I'm Guyanese." I'm like, "Wow."
Caribbean folks in there.
So yes, Canada is a great country.
Absolutely. And I had a similar experience because coming from the Caribbean, as I said before, we grew up in the sense of we are all one community. The island is a community, and if you know Jamaicans, you know that Jamaicans are a community. You just need to identify yourself as a Jamaican. So coming to Canada, the good mornings and the good afternoons, or just having those random conversations, wasn't anything shocking to me, right? Didn't really place me outside of what I was used to. The only thing that shocked me a bit was how you live here, they live there, you live there, and you might not see them for an entire 6 months.
That's true.
Everybody's just busy and moving. Well, and I guess it's because it's winter. No one wants to be outside for 6 months of the year, right? When it's cold. But coming from a tropical island, people are always outside. We're always outside because you know what? Inside is very hot. And to keep inside cool and yourself cool inside, it takes a lot of electricity.
Yes, it
so
does.
we tend to have more of an outdoor living as opposed to an indoor living coming here into Canada. But my experience has been great. I mean, there are definitely some pitfalls in terms of some of negative experiences, but of course the positives outweighs negative to me. And I speak in terms of just the amount of opportunities which are available. I mean, going to university, getting that degree and seeing yourself endless in terms of the opportunities that might exist after graduation is optimistic.
I will say that honestly, like Canada's very easy with the immigration process, especially if you're coming with like studying. Everything is like laid out for you. As like someone, like I do all of that mostly by myself just because it's so simple. But growing up as an expatriate and moving around, like the immigration process to me wasn't it wasn't new, but like it was like, oh my goodness, I have to go line up, this was back in the day when everything wasn't online, and you'd have to physically not that long ago. I mean, I'm not that old, but you'd have to like physically go to the consulate, like fill out the application, and then if one thing is wrong, that's it, you have to go back home. But I feel like the process for me moving here was just so like straightforward, so simple, and that was one thing that made it easier for me to like get used to the idea of moving to Canada, because I was like, okay, it was easy to, like, not easy, but like it was simple enough to get here. And like if an 18-year-old could fill out these applications and do it themselves, like anyone really could. But I will say, especially with opportunity, is that so many people like make things for themselves happen here, and it's like almost encouraged and like enforced that like do as much as you can to ensure that your dreams come true. And it's kind of like back in the day, with the American dream, like come to America and all your dreams will come true. I feel like now it's like the Canadian dream, come to Canada.
But in hindsight to that though, the Canadian dream to me and the American dream is two different dreams.
Way different.
Because guess what? You actually have a support system in place here in Canada that can help you to realize that dream. Whereas in the US, it's you better work hard as possible, and if you hit, you hit. If you miss, you miss.
Keep working.
Right? But of course, and that's one of the great things, and I'm speaking from a political science economics point of view here. I think Canada is really that interesting case study in terms of it's probably the only dominion, the only confederation that has two different models working at the same time. We talk about the U.S. style, kind of like a Senate, then the lower house, and then we talk about the parliamentary system, which exists in the Caribbean, here in Canada, in Europe, European countries, some African nations still have it. So it's that interesting mixture. And Canada is one of the only places in the world where I've seen that a political party can be completely obliterated one election,
I felt
then
that completely.
overwhelmingly elected at the other election.
Yes.
I
It's
felt
an
that one.
interesting case study from that point of view for me. So that's just my experience. Though.
But I feel like that just goes to speak to like the Canadian people. Is that it's, you know, like, do we hold grudges? Maybe.
I would say, but from the other perspective, it might be that we hold grudges because you know what? There are a few grudges being held. I mean, Stephen Harper still hasn't gotten over the grudge that people hold against him. But we're talking about it from a point of view where Canadian people expect the system to work
For them.
to work for them. Canadian people, when we go to the poll to vote, we vote on the expectation that you will do your job. And we aren't necessarily a partisan nation in terms of you can pinpoint at this very moment that we are conservatives or we're liberals or we're even NDP, right? Because it's just someone that will represent our interests. And that's a great thing in the sense that it holds politicians more accountable for what they do. We're probably one of the only nations where politicians have limits on how much they can spend during elections, have limits on how much they can actually take from people. I mean, when we look to the U.S., you have senators, you have politicians becoming millionaires just by sitting in the elected houses. And that's not the case in Canada. So it really speaks to a kind of like moral foreground in which Canada lies, right?
Yeah.
I
And
think so.
and I do agree with what you said, because one thing I realized in Canada, I like to say Canada, my experience has been best of both worlds, like you said, the American style, the European style, but most importantly, it's so multicultural. As a result of that, you have people from various parts of the world, so as a result, they hold people more accountable. Okay, so when you make promise, you better deliver, because come election time, you may not have that opportunity a second time. Yeah.
So it's a one-shot deal with Canadians. It's a one-shot deal with Canadians. Get it right or go home. But of course, the interesting thing about diversity, we always speak about diversity in Canada. And when we talk about diversity, I think we're still number one in terms of the most diverse country. We still have, I think, the most diversity, which is Toronto. But you know what? In terms of that diversity, though, how do you see that diversity really translating into what diversity really looks like?
Like representation in all fields. Well, I mean, if we look at it from, you know, media perspectives, we see that a lot of places are lacking in diversity and lacking in the real representation we need to like see to reflect the people that they're speaking to, essentially. Because if it's such a diverse country, you'd hope that the stories, the things that we hear would be just as diverse. But I will say, definitely light years ahead of a lot of places in like different industries. But you know, that doesn't mean that we should slack either. Just because we're ahead in some instances doesn't mean that it's okay for us to sit back and be like, well, we don't need to do anything to continue to put our feet on the necks of people who are in positions of power to actually make these changes. Like, it's not like we can't relax just because it's better off than some other places.
And it's lovely that you said that, because one of the things that we're talking about is the fact that Canada tends to have this position where we can hide behind a whole lot of stuff. We can hide behind the U.S. because the U.S. is so terrible. And we can hide, we can parade ourselves on the global platform because we are the peace nation, the happy nation, the multicultural nation. But is that true in the sense that, is that really what Canada is about? Is Canada really the peacekeeping nation that we posit ourselves to be? Is Canada really the vastly multicultural nation that embodies opportunity for everyone as we think?
I will say it depends where you are, because if you go to certain parts of Canada, you will not see as much diversity as you may see in Toronto. So I feel like because like cities like Toronto, Montreal, like even Vancouver are put on the map as like, look at this, look at all the diversity, look at all these different cultures like living in harmony with one another. But then you start going maybe a bit further north or even east and you see less of that diversity. Granted, maybe it's because of climate. Ain't nobody trying to be that crazy.
Well, that's one. That is definitely, and that's a part of her negative experience. But back to what you were saying there.
You know, it's a little too cold. But I will say that I think with these multicultural cities, I think that the diversity is represented, even in, if we look at like TV shows, music, we hear that. But if we start looking at other areas in the country, maybe it's not
decision-making positions in the country.
Decision-making position in terms of diversity?
We're talking about
Like
in
diversity?
business, we're talking
okay.
about in politics,
In politics.
we're talking about, is it reflective? Because when we look at city of Toronto, where probably the minority population is really getting up there 50-50
Yeah.
in terms of non-minority groups and minority groups, one would think that, let's look at the current house. We just had the first Black Caucus installed at Queen's Park because for the first time in history, we have like 7-8 MPPs being elected to the House. So that's but when we look at the economic side point perspective in terms of leaders and companies and in huge organizations, persons who really make the decisions about the cities that we live in and our province.
Yeah, I believe a lot still needs to be done.
Yeah.
You can see the diverse representation in the government because, I mean, politicians, you look at the a certain area and there's a particular people from a particular part of the world in that area. Let's say in Markham you have a lot of Asians, you know, so they have no choice but to send candidates, you understand, who are initially Asians, okay? And so in that aspect, I believe things are improving. Like you said, with the Black Caucus, more Africans are getting involved in politics. On the economic side, in terms of wealth creation, I believe there's still a gap. In technology, yeah, because you have no choice because you need the skill set. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter, you understand? And a lot of people from, I would say, minority groups, you understand, they have that technological skill set, and they've been able to prosper in that particular sector. But in terms of other aspects like wealth creation and having, you know, big businesses, you understand, a lot still needs to happen.
And just going off that point, I think it like really goes back to even in the educational systems, like what opportunities are made affordable to certain like minority groups. Like, you know, that whole, like, I guess it's a old stereotype that if you're from an African or Caribbean household, engineer, lawyer, doctor, one of those three, anything outside, figure it out.
Figure it out for yourself.
Because you're on your own. Fortunately, so, I mean, like, you know, there are the exceptions to the rule. I'm one of them. But I will say that, like, with that, especially being an immigrant country, you know, people are coming with those same mindsets. And then when you're in school, kids aren't seeing that maybe they can really be entrepreneurs. They're thinking that they have to engage in what's already there, what's already established, which I think is what's aiding in continuing this generational wealth gap. We're now we're seeing a lot more entrepreneurs and small business owners coming up, and like really like speaking specifically to Toronto and like Black business ownership, that's become more like talked about, and it's part of the conversation more, and how we can support these small businesses, how we can support these people trying to create their own kind of generational wealth. But there's still that gap because if we look at the foundation of it, we're still not given the same resources as the other kids maybe going to private schools, which are probably predominantly like white institutions as well.
Okay, absolutely. And of course, on that note, we're going to take our very first break here on our special Canada Day broadcast, 153 years. But of course, what we're going to have, we're just going to remind you of the questions here for the giveaway. So the first question is, how old is Canada? The second question, who was the first Prime Minister of Canada when Confederation, and how many provinces initially joined Confederation? So definitely get to those fingers. It's on Facebook or Instagram, Gbkm FM, and also on our live stream right now. First person on each platform will definitely get that gift. And of course, we'll take a very first break, but we'll be right back with so much more. Happy Canada Day, Canada.
Happy Canada Day.
Do you believe you could host an entertaining, engaging, and thoughtful weekly show? Or are you a business person or entrepreneur interested in building a brand for yourself? Can you connect with an audience and have strong social media skills? If so, the Gbkm Network would love to invite you to join our team. We're looking for driven, genuine folks who are willing to work hard as an independent broadcaster. If this sounds like you, come join our team. For more information, email your resume to career@gbkm.fm. That is career, CAREER, at gbkm.fm. It's time to turn your passion into a career. Do you believe you could host an entertaining, engaging, and thoughtful weekly show? Or are you a business person or entrepreneur interested in building a brand for yourself? Can you connect with an audience and have strong social media skills? If so, the Gbkm Network would love to invite you to join our team. We're looking for driven, genuine folks who are willing to work hard as an independent broadcaster. If this sounds like you, come join our team.
And course, welcome back to our GBKM special Canada Day broadcast. Of course, I'm being joined by our lovely on-air co-workers. Let me say colleagues. Okay. Elizabeth and of course Jay here, whose show will be debuting on Sunday.
Yes, guys.
So quite new to the airwaves, but of course not new to us. It's definitely been here. And quite the discussion we've been having on Canada Day here. Is Canada the great nation that it really is, or poses to be? Of course, we're getting into the details of that here on the show today. But of course, for all those who are just joining us, happy Canada Day to you. Happy 153 years. I know we weren't here 153 years ago, but we're definitely benefiting from what 53 years have definitely brought to us. And we're looking forward to what the next 53 years will, of course, be doing. Of course, this year has been the year. This year has been the year.
It's been a year. Let me say that.
I tell you, we started off with probably having World War III in January. Then it kickstarted to the coronavirus.
Yep.
Now we're having a global movement for change and prosperity for Black people. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Lives Matter. And of course, the human race deserves to live peacefully, happy, free, and being afforded all the rights that every other race deserves.
Yes.
So Canada has taken the lead in terms of we are the great multicultural country.
Yes.
We are the greatly peaceful and place of opportunities. We are the new north. We are the true north. Let me say that. We're the true north where all your dreams can, of course, come true. But is that only a face, or is that the reality? We're talking with Elizabeth, and right before we went for the break, Elizabeth, we're talking about how the faces of the decision-making tables are really changing. More persons getting into business, emphasis on really bringing up those communities that have been disproportionately left out. And we're talking about even our indigenous brothers and sisters over there. So just continue with you.
Just saying that, like, when speaking of these decision makers, and thinking of future generations, because there's only so much, you can do with the older generations. And when you're trying to bring up new leaders, it's really giving them, like, showing them the light, like, hey, this is what is an opportunity, and here's like potential and what's available to you to help make these things happen. And if these kids don't know that those are opportunities that are available, that can be afforded to them, then how can we continue to build this so-called great nation?
Absolutely, and we're talking about comparisons too between the Canadian experience and, let's say, our fellow down there as US.
No,
or US.
Let me comment a little bit.
Yes, the star producer Kenny and President
Kenny Bazwaye.
Yeah, hi. I'm coming in from the. We have Jamila, 153 years old.
153 years old.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have Lisa Jaden. Okay. She said 153 years.
Okay.
We also have Lisa Jaden that came back again and said the Sir John A. McDonald.
So Lisa currently is in the lead because she has answered
two questions.
2 questions. So Lisa, you still need to give us an answer to the last question.
But we also have another person here, which is Gbkm. She goes 153 years old, and then she also said John A. McDonald.
Okay, so she has answered 2 questions.
She also gave up and she said she doesn't. I didn't get the 3rd questions.
Okay, so let me just do a quick recap of what those questions are. So the first one is, how old is Canada? The second question is, who was the first Prime Minister of Canada, Confederated Canada? And how many provinces joined Confederation in 1867?
Yeah.
Oh.
So get to answering, guys.
That question. But of
Good
course,
luck.
Good luck. So we have 2 persons on our live who has answered 2 questions out of the 3. We won't tell you if the answers are correct as yet. And we're still going to just keep check with our producer to hear what's happening on Instagram. But as we do that, we're going back to the Canadian experience, and we're talking about how great the nation is. I mean, we're one of probably the only nation, not the only nation, among the very few nations in the world that can offer, let's say, free healthcare. We have technically free university in terms of
For y'all.
access to student loans
Free
for
loans.
Canadians and permanent residents. For Canadian and permanent residents, we're only rivaled by Sweden, Switzerland,
Germany,
and
too.
Germany,
UK.
and
I think even Belgium too.
Belgium, the UK, so our European nations. But our biggest rival, and I dare say our biggest rival, is the US, and everyone knows that. We compete with the US.
Whether we like to admit it or not,
not.
like
Okay, let's
we're
say
in
that.
competition, okay?
Because I don't think many persons are going to admit that.
Yeah.
But our competition is really the US, and it's rightfully so, because guess what? We share a border. We're increasingly closer
Yeah.
than many nations. This is probably our closest nation.
Yeah.
Depending on where
Unless you
you're
want to
looking
count like
for.
Greenland.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to count like the northern islands
Up
or
there,
so on,
yeah.
so on and so forth. Or if you check PEI is I think PEI is closer to England than it is to probably British Columbia. Something like that. But of course,
Interesting.
it is a great. So if anyone knows, just tell us on the live, of course, if PEI is closer to England or British Columbia
Yeah.
to our west. But of course, yes, in terms of access to those things, it really set us apart from so many of the nation in terms of really thriving, because we all know that a healthy workforce is a capable,
And a well taken care of workforce, because when the pandemic started, I think Canada was one of the blueprints for like providing those stimulus
Oh, yes,
packages
assistance, yes,
for
exactly.
people and businesses and students as well. So that's also like speaks to what the powers that be are doing to ensure that Canadians are taken care of.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it also speaks to, and it goes back to what we said first. Canadians expect their government to work. It compares and we're going to make the comparison throughout the show. Compared to the U.S., right? Compared to the U.S., where it is you take care of yourself, you take care of the country.
We got two people coming
so our
in.
producers coming back
Okay.
here.
We have Lisa Jaden.
Okay.
She added to the two answers she gave before.
Okay.
She said 4 province.
For province, and she was the first one to say that.
Yeah, and then on Instagram we have someone here that gave 2 answers. One is 4 province,
Okay.
and 2 is the year, which is 53. She only have two answers on her end. That's Abiola, Abila.
Abiola.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that,
Thank
Abiola.
you.
We just made a note of that. And of course, we keep those answers coming in. Keep those answers coming in. And of course, we'll definitely get to announcing those winners right before we wrap on our broadcast here. So stay tuned. You just might be the lucky winner, okay?
Yes.
You just might be the lucky winner. And who knows what you're going to get in those gifts? I have it on good authority that those gifts are quite lovely, huh?
Yes, so I heard.
Absolutely. And in true Canadian style, 153 years, you definitely deserve a gift that's worthy of 153 years of Canada being the nation that it is. But before our producer gave us those updates, we're talking about how, in terms of taking care of our own, Canada is. And I'm just going to go to Jay here, because Jay, you have some insights into that, and I'm going to have you just compare that to your area of expertise. Of course, Jay is our in-studio African correspondent. I'm just going to say that for today. So
That's what we're claiming you as today, whether you want it or not.
or
That's
not.
what you
And
want.
of course, but Jay, make that comparison though, which when we talk about our African nations in terms of really taking care of our own, and then the Canadian experience. Give us some insights into that though.
Yeah, so with the Canadian experience, they really did well in terms of making sure that the economy doesn't collapse, you understand?
Yeah.
Without the stimulus package, it did help everyone, including myself, who is a business owner. You know, so that was quite a very good thing that the government did to continue with increase the purchasing power of every citizens and make sure that everyone is able to, fend for themselves during this lockdown. In Africa, I would say that some of the countries still have a long way to go, but there are some countries that did exceptionally well.
Yes.
And for me, I would say that the pandemic was sort of like a blessing to the continent, because it made a lot of government wake up to the lapses in the healthcare system and some of the challenges that people are facing, So Africa still has a lot to learn,
Yeah.
They still have a lot of things to do. But in comparison, I would say Canada did exceptionally well.
Absolutely, and of course, the reports definitely point to that also. Canada was ranked among the top 3 nations in terms of response. I know New Zealand stole the title.
Was on top of it.
New
from
Zealand
jump.
stole the title from the rest of the world. I think our U.S. counterpart fared at like the bottom of the list.
U.S. is still struggling though. Like
But of course, it speaks, and that's the thing you spoke about too. It's really bringing a light onto what should be prioritized by our governments. And I think what was majorly brought out, especially in this pandemic, is that the Doug Ford administration really got it in terms of their previous cuts to healthcare.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't think that would be something they'll be pursuing going forward, because if right now it's on the side of the people. We've seen how our hospitals got overflown in terms of we couldn't manage cases, we couldn't manage
not
testing,
enough equipment.
we didn't have enough equipment. But guess what? And I must commend Premier Ford on this too. You know what he said? We're gonna take things into our own hands and we're going to drive it. So he started contracting GMC to make masks. He started reaching out to our community partners.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about Canada too. We know how to really call on our brothers and sisters in times of need.
And I also appreciate like the transparency of like, listen, we're all trying to figure this out, instead of like, here's what you have to do. And like, no one really knows what's going on. And I appreciated like with Premier Ford's addresses, like just being able to be like, listen, like here's what we know so far, and this is what we can all do to ensure that we're all staying safe, and like this is how the government's going to help to ensure that. Even though of course everyone's going to have their, oh, but he didn't do this, oh, he could have done this better. Everyone, all like leaders across the globe were in a similar mess where they were trying as we go along to figure out how to help their constituents. So I think just taking charge and being open and honest and like taking control of that situation in the way that he did was better than what we saw in other places.
That's so true. And
Down
I think
south.
what's and I think what's really like bringing to the fore right now is and what our prime minister or premier would have learned from recent political events is that people need honesty, even when honesty is not
the best thing.
The best
what
thing,
we're looking
but not
for.
the most easily digested.
There we go.
Yes, that's true.
Not the most easily digested, and I think that's what really made us shine. Because even in the midst of utter uncertainty, because I mean the World Health Organization didn't know, we didn't know, health officials weren't certain, but you know what? They came out and they said, let us do this, because at the moment this is the information that we have and we're learning on a day-to-day basis. And I think that really in terms of increased our politicians, increased their sense of currency for the next election. But what really struck me during this time is that everyone wanted to get involved, and I have my producer here just giving me another update, so we're just going to bring him in quickly. What do you have for us?
I have Tamara B. Ifua. She says, I'm going to read as she says, 10 provinces.
10 provinces.
Sir John McDonald. She gave 2 questions.
Okay.
Then let's go back to Instagram.
Okay.
We have Abby.
So Abiola was leading with 2 questions.
Abiola added 4 provinces.
4 provinces.
And then we have, still on Instagram, Gbkm. She said 153 years old, John A. McDonald, and 4 provinces. This is becoming a battlefield.
It is absolutely, and we love you for participating in today's competition. By the time we wrap today's show, which should be in just under 30 minutes, we'll definitely have that update for you as to who the winners are, and we'll keep taking those questions. So if you haven't submitted as yet, get to submitting your answers, and we'll definitely get to those for you. But of course, we'll take a very second break here on the show, but we'll be right back with so much more on our Canada Day celebrations. You don't want to miss what's to come.
Yes.
For more information, email your resume to career@gbkm.fm. That is career, career, at gbkm.fm. It's time to turn your passion into a career. Do you believe you could host an entertaining, engaging, and thoughtful weekly show? Or are you a business person or entrepreneur interested in building a brand for yourself? Can you connect with an audience and have strong social media skills? If so, the Gbkm Network would love to invite you to join our team. We're looking for driven, genuine folks who are willing to work hard as an independent broadcaster. If this sounds like you, come join our team. For more information, email your resume to career@gbkm.fm. That is career, career, at gbkm.fm. It's time to turn your
Canada, we stand up.